apartment building, the kind you'd walk past without giving it a second glance.
I forgot what
But if you step into the garage and slip through this tiny hidden hatch leading down into the basement, suddenly you're standing in an eerie white room.
Where I'm gonna bring Dapper Dave.
Well, white except for these small stains on the walls. The floor is covered with dark tiles, and at the back of the room stands a large machine. This room is used by the Balkan Mafia. They kidnap their enemies and bring them here, allegedly torturing and killing them.
Oh my God.
But bodies are evidence, so they make sure there isn't any, reportedly with the help of an industrial meat grinder.
I think their motto was that if there's no body, there will never be possible to prosecute us.
This is the story of one of Europe's most notorious crime networks and their human slaughterhouse. Their alleged ties to Serbia's elites, and an ingenious takedown by relentless investigators.
Reanimation. Hey! On the bed! On the bed! That's fucking disgusting. These niggas got a fucking meat grinder.
Trigger warning. This video contains graphic descriptions of violence as well as references to disturbing material. Viewer discretion is advised.
Thank you, gang.
Much of what we know about this case stems from an indictment by the Prosecutor's Office for Organized Crime in Serbia, as well as reporting by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project and the Serbian investigation portal Creek. Their work has been crucial in uncovering this story. You can find links in the description.
Radiohead?
Chances are you'd struggle to find Serbia on a map. It's a landlocked country, south of Hungary, next to Romania. Roughly 6.5 million people live here. Politically, it's run by the right-wing SNS party. Aleksandar Vučić has been president since 2017.
Guilty.
On the streets of Serbia, the Balkan Mafia has a strong presence.
That nigga guilty.
Two clans play a major role, the Kavač and the Škaljadi. Their story begins in a neighboring country.
Kotor is one of the most beautiful towns in Montenegro.
This is Stevan Dojčinović. He's the editor-in-chief of the Serbian investigative portal Creek.
They have really has a huge old town, which is really nice, and it's popular tourist area. And there's a lot of basically sailors that actually coming from this town.
In the 2000s, a single criminal group called the Kotor clan operated here. It was under the rule of drug lord Darko Šarić. For more than a decade, he controlled a significant share of the cocaine trade into Europe, until he was arrested in 2014. And after a cocaine deal went wrong in Spain, the group split into two clans, the Kavač and the Škaljadi, named after two villages in the region. These two clans don't just operate in Montenegro. They're active across the Balkans and traffic drugs all over Europe.
So basically the role of Balkan organized crime group is to transport big amounts of drugs from South America to Europe, and then usually they sell these drugs to European gangs. They will not deal with distributions.
The Kavač and the Škaljadi are locked in a violent conflict. This basically means they're hunting each other down.
I cannot even count it anymore, but it was definitely more than 100 murders were connected in this war of these two gangs. More than 100, definitely. And then in different countries, they found groups to join one on another side. Like in Bosnia, some of the Bosnian criminal groups joined more like Škaljadi, others joined the Kavač gang.
As a result, the conflict between the Montenegrin clans has spilled over into neighboring countries: Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, and Serbia.
In Serbia, they were looking for like local Serbian allies. They found, and as one of their most important allies in Serbia was this criminal group around Belivuk.
As you may have noticed, we've added this disclaimer to our videos. With generative AI on the rise, we want you to know there's a real team building these animations and be an effort to resorting of a hooligan group called
Controversy, and now they're scared.
Hooligans set the tone.
Hooligans?
Loud, aggressive, and powerful. One of them is Veliko. Click on the link Knowledge Hub and use the code FIRM5 to get the discount.
You know, maybe I gotta get better at sniping.
In Belgrade stadiums, hooligans set the tone. Loud, aggressive, and powerful. One of them is Veliko Belivuk.
Guilty.
In 2016, he's a member of a hooligan group called Janičari.
They were a football hooligan group who suddenly appear out of the blue and become very important on the stadium of football club Partizan.
CCTV footage shows Belivuk and others beating the bodyguard of the director of FC Partizan.
Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn.
After Yanichadi's leader is murdered, Belivuk takes over. According to the New York Times, he renames the group Principi because he acts on principle.
These niggas made
But the name
New York
also
Times?
carries an association with Gavrilo Princip, a nationalist whose assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria set off World
Yes, I
Princip
said I
because he
knew
acts on
that
principle.
guy.
But the name also carries an association with Gavrilo Princip, a nationalist whose assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria set off World War I. Over
should do a
time,
video about
Belivuk transforms. He's no longer just a leader of hooligans.
He became one of the top allies of Kavač gang.
Principi begins to operate as a major outpost for the Kavač. In 2020, the war between the Kavač and the Shkoljari is still raging. Belivuk and his group play their part in the war on Serbian soil. And they come up with an idea, one that takes the violence to a whole new level.
Oh my.
They start looking for a place to kill and destroy the evidence.
They found a house which was very close to the river, on the outskirts of the
What the fuck
Belgrade.
is the flip?
This building will become their slaughterhouse.
What's the flip?
Inside,
What's
they
the,
set up a torture chamber.
What's the
This
basis
is
of
where
the
they'll
flip?
bring their
Like
victims,
what?
mostly members of rival gangs.
So it's
why,
really perfectly
though?
hidden.
But why,
Inside of the
though?
house was like normal house. But if you manage to open this wall, then you have small corridor, and then what waits you under the stairs will be like a big room, which will be usually wrapped into the plastic,
But, like, what's
prepared
the
for
switch?
the
But
murder,
why
and with
does-
one chair. That's all. For me, more scary
I'm just
part
tryna-
than this was
I'm
actually
trying to
how they were
understand why
like bringing
we're
victims.
murdering
Most of these people actually lured inside of the house.
What's the reason?
One of the victims is a man we'll call Luka Maric,
Why do we
not
flip
his
to,
real name.
Murder?
He's a leader of a rival partisan hooligan group and an important associate of a man called Filip Korac.
Now, Filip Korac is an important organized crime figure from the Serbia who sided with Shkaljar gang.
That
He just
means
said,
Luka
"Fuck it,
has
I'm gonna
ties to the
flip.
enemy.
I'm gonna be an evil
In August
guy."
2020, his wife is making dinner and feeding their two babies.
What's the
Luka
reason?
heads out to buy
What's the
guns.
But they
He
still
was
haven't answered me a
afraid
question.
for his life
Why
that
do we
morning, so
go
he
from
kind of felt something could
being a
happen.
soccer
He wanted to
hooligan
buy new
wanting
guns,
to murder
most
people
likely in
with a
order
fucking
to
thing
better
in a
protect
meat-
himself.
In a meat grinder.
According to the indictment, he meets a friend he trusts on a dirt
what's the
road beside an
correlation?
empty field. Luka doesn't know it yet, but his friend has betrayed him. The meeting is a trap. Belivuk and his gang are waiting for him.
Their modus operandi would be to find a person which is very close to you, which then they will make to shift the sides and start working with them.
Backdoor
And then they
death.
will use somebody you trust to actually lure you. So this happened in this case.
They jump him, tie him up, and take him to the slaughterhouse. Then they drag him inside, force him to unlock his phone and go through his contacts.
I would go into
The first
shock.
moment he understood it, basically,
Like if this was reality, bro.
he's done.
According
I'll
to
go
the
into mental
indictment,
shock
Belivuk and
and
his
I'll
gang
just be
begin
like,
to
"Yo,
torture
bro,
him.
Like,
Afterwards,
there's-
they behead Luka with an axe.
They use his
Holy
blood
fuck.
to write on his back, Korac, which was kind of basically a message for this boss, Filip Korac.
Then Belivuk and his gang send a photo of the scene to Luka's boss. One of the messages reads,
Tick tock, tick tock. This is how you'll end up.
Tick-tock.
We'll catch you.
That's not on my For You
according to
page, bro.
prosecutors, after that, Luka's body is cut into
Not on
pieces
my For
and
You
put
page,
through the
bro.
industrial meat grinder. The remains end up in bags and are dumped into the Danube.
Industrial meat
River was
grinder.
the kind of final
What is
stage
the
of
reason? You still
dismantling the
haven't
body,
told
which
me
started
why
inside
we
of the
flipped
house
to
when
murder.
they were basically
Well, I mean, if
chopped
you're
the
related
bodies
to the
and
guy
drag
that
them
started
through
with
this
fucking
machine
World War I,
until
then
they
fucking,
literally
you know what?
become, let's say,
Makes a lot. Correlation does make sense.
liquid in a way, because then this liquid basically throwing in the river, which fishes eat. So literally, there was not even like small bone, anything that could be found.
Then the bags, along with the victim's clothes and belongings, are burned.
Not
They
much you gotta
decide
think
to
about how
run the
how bad
slaughterhouse
you want to kill a
because
nigga.
they believe that's the
break it
most
down this
efficient way to kill people and not leave the traces.
Like, you know how,
In the
you know how
end,
like
the whole
fucking
thing was about
gotta have a
efficiency
way to,
and
like, really
hiding
fucking
any
be
traces.
about
And actually, it
murder.
was efficient in a way that till today
To break it down
nobody
like
was
this, bro.
recovered.
Group. Zdravko Radojevic was lured in a similar way, with the promise of buying a gun. The prosecutor claims he also ended up in the meat grinder. And then there's Milan Lapoja.
Milan Ljapoje was the highest level
Milan
criminal who was
Lapoja.
killed in the slaughterhouse. He was like some old school mafia guy.
He first made headlines in 2007. Back then, he was part of a group of notorious jewel thieves known as the Pink Panthers.
It's like the group that Hollywood movies were made about.
Their Dubai job, the Wafi Mall heist, was legendary. In just
Wafi Mall.
170 seconds, they stole millions in jewelry and sped off in their Audis.
Why is it in a
Interpol
brown
eventually caught up with them. DNA evidence linked the reporter to the heist. He was ultimately arrested and sentenced to 9 years in prison. After that, he returned to his hometown in Serbia and got in bed
Yeah, that shit as well.
with the Scagliati clan. By
Scagliati.
2020, he had a new
Scagliati.
job.
He took role in one attempt to murder the leader of Kavač gang, Rado Zvitser, in Ukraine. He was shot a couple of times, but he managed to survive.
Damn.
Lepoya was allegedly
Even in
involved in
Ukraine,
planning
during
the attempted
war,
killing.
these niggas are still
Now the
bodying?
Kavač clan wants
Oh, no, this
revenge.
is from 2016.
Like Luka, Lepoya feels threatened. He starts looking for extra protection and considers buying an armored car. Belivuk and his gang hear about that and lure him into a trap.
And they call him to come to this house in
Damn, these niggas
Ritopek.
just love backdooring
Instead of buying a
niggas.
car, he too ends up in their torture room.
Back door.
And it's interesting how he
When you
reacted. So
go
he was
against these
down
niggas,
in
you gotta
this
check the
chamber.
back
He saw they
door.
came with the axe to chop him. He reacted in a way like, well, what do you do? He said, like, this is very bizarre. I'm not for this kind of stuff. And he said, I'm for, like, we can do fist fighting, we can shoot with the guns, but this thing, no. And this is really interesting because you can see really kind of big difference between his older generation. These new young guys were like kind of very much brutal even.
Stevan calls Belivuk and his group a millennial mafia, a generation of criminals that doesn't just
Millennial
kill,
mafia.
but turns violence into a spectacle. And though Lepoya fights for his life, there's no escape. But how do we know all of this? Time to talk about Sky.
Sky
Global was founded in Canada in 2008. The company
Hey,
runs an
shout out
encrypted
Canada.
messaging network, and it sells phones that come with this ultra-secure network pre-installed. A lot of users switched to Sky phones after a similar encrypted phone provider was taken over and then shut down by the authorities. The camera, microphone, and GPS are all disabled in Sky phones. The encrypted messenger Sky ECC is hidden inside the calculator app. Users access it by entering a specific code.
And then you use your nickname, which you create, to communicate with other nicknames through this Skynet.
That's some fucking
So it was
dark web
basically way
shit.
how basically criminals can speak.
You can choose for your messages to automatically delete. If the phone isn't used for a certain period of time, it'll erase itself. There are also features like a panic password and a kill switch.
Kill
Phones can be
switch,
accessed
panic
remotely to
password.
instantly wipe all data from them. The company is so confident in its privacy protections that it offers $5 million to anyone who can break their encryption within 90 days. Sky phones are perfect for people who value privacy above all else. And they're quite
5
popular
M's, I
with
bet there's
criminals.
a nigga out there that can
You
do
can't
that.
just walk into a store and buy one. They're distributed through a complex network of distributors and lower-level resellers. This man, known as the Smiling Butcher, claims he was one of them.
What the fuck?
So he literally worked for the Sky
Smiling
company
Butcher.
and selling their phones.
It's unclear whether he worked for Sky
Smiling
Global in any
Butcher.
official capacity. But he's the tech
That
guy for
nigga
Belivuk's
guilty as
Principi
fuck.
hooligan group,
Lock that nigga
and he
up
makes
in
sure
about
they conduct their
5
business via
different
the Sky
fucking
network.
ways.
Belivuk
Figure
and his
out how to
henchmen share
fucking
messages and photos in group chats on
Put him
Sky
in a fucking
ECC,
vault, bro.
They think they're safe.
That guy's a psychopath.
but they aren't. In the late 2010s, police find more and more Sky
Nigga
phones
named
in the hands of
Smiling
criminals,
Butcher, bro.
so they begin investigating the network
Like
behind
if you're
them.
going, if your ops are
Authorities
called
in the Netherlands and
Smiling
France
Butcher,
discovered that the Global Sky Communications
Then
network
I'm
mainly
straight.
runs through 2 servers. They're both located
not
in
going
a
to
data
war,
center
Daniel.
of the hosting company OVH
They
in
got
northern
it.
France. French authorities install an IP tap on the servers to monitor their traffic. The traffic is encrypted, so they can't read messages yet. But
still
analysts
can't
find
get
a way
over
to copy the
Smiling
server's
Butcher,
memory.
bro.
Through that, they
That is
obtain
one
an
of
encryption
the
certificate.
craziest fucking nicknames
Using that
I've ever
certificate,
heard.
French, Belgian, and Dutch authorities develop a method to decrypt Sky ECC's
Literally one of the
communications.
craziest shit I've ever heard.
This allows
I'm
them to
sorry,
read
but
the
yeah,
user's messages.
There's a
In
reaction.
2021, a joint team of European law
Supposed to be,
enforcement
yeah.
agencies gets to work. They spend several weeks reading Sky chats in real time. It's a rare moment. To them, it feels like standing outside in the dark, peeking inside a house, when suddenly, someone turns on the lights. More than that, it feels as if they're suddenly sitting at the dinner table with the criminals. The authorities intercept approximately 1 billion messages. According to law enforcement, about 170,000 Sky phones are registered worldwide.
170,000 Sky
Each month, roughly 70,000 users actively communicate on the platform.
70,000?
Some are located in the Americas, but most are in Europe. About a quarter of all active users are based in Belgium and the
That niggas can
Netherlands.
just take a trip.
Many of their messages,
get
police
your
say,
ass
cluster
outta
around one
here,
specific
bro.
place, the port of Antwerp. We've already made a video about how Antwerp's port has become Europe's main gateway for cocaine, and how cartels recruit miners to break into containers and retrieve drugs for them. But a lot of other messages the authorities read come from an entirely different region, the Balkans.
This guy's videos is really good.
They also stumble upon the communications of Bellivuk and his gang. And what
there's
they uncover
another video I wanted to
is
react to.
horrifying. The prosecution has collected the nicknames that the criminals used in the app. In one of the chats, Bellivuk, using his nickname Soprano, writes,
I can't wait to strangle him.
and
See, honey? Mexico in the middle of Belgrade.
even when he's not around, he seems to be asking his men to describe the torture at length.
Jesus.
Don't skip those juicy details for me.
In the chats, Soprano approves kidnappings and killings with short messages.
What the fuck?
We're for it.
The smiling butcher writes,
He has already lost a finger and is badly ruined. But the idiot thinks he will get out. I've already skinned him well.
And
Skinned him?
Boom. Mar hits him in the head. He got a brutal beating by them, bro. He was already seriously unconscious. Afterwards, bro, he was all black. He didn't resist much, didn't cry, nothing.
the authorities see all the pictures the gang shares in their chats. Screenshots of Bitcoin transfers to pay off hitmen, fake identity documents, bundles of cash, weapons, shipments of cocaine, and disturbing photos of torture. Police can see all this evidence because Bellivuk and his gang didn't delete the photos.
Because, the Sky
fucking
is a system
retarded.
every month basically cleans everything. So in order to save these photos, in the end of the month, they were always sending them to somebody from inside of the gang just to keep them saved. So they really wanted to keep these messages. It's weird, but in a way, how they found the house, how they built the house with this secret corridor, how the careful was not to leave any traces, that they did everything like so carefully there, and they were like taking and saving these photos was major evidence. And that's kind of really interesting element to the whole thing.
Serbian police about the chats. As a result, Bellivuk and part of his gang are arrested. They're charged with criminal association, multiple aggravated murders, drug and arms trafficking, kidnapping, and rape. Hundreds more alleged criminals are arrested in other raids across Europe. In Belgium, more than 100 people are convicted in the country's biggest drug trial ever. Sky Global's CEO, Jean-François Ype, and former distributor Thomas Herdman were indicted in both the US and France.
Holy
In the
fuck.
US, Ype and Herdman are accused of knowingly and intentionally participating in a criminal enterprise that facilitated drug trafficking. In a statement and in an interview with Motherboard, the CEO said that law enforcement was trying to vilify anyone who pushed back against
Knowingly.
unwarranted surveillance. According to him,
Okay,
the
go.
encrypted chat platform existed for one reason: to protect the fundamental right to privacy. After the arrests, the police searched the house in Riedepec. They entered the garage, climbed through the hidden hatch, opened the door, and found evidence of the bloodbath that took place there. The industrial meat grinder, a groove cut into the tiled floor running from one side to the other, several stains on the walls, on the door, next to a radiator, on the tap, and on the light switches.
Oh my God.
The smiling butcher cut a deal with the authorities. Based on his testimony
you're
and the
fucking
DNA found in
pussy,
the room,
bro.
authorities
What
believe
a
that at
fucking
least 7
pussy
people were killed
boy.
in the slaughterhouse. The arrest of Bellivuk and his group was celebrated as a major victory for the Serbian authorities, and it also caught the attention of politicians.
Danas smo razgovarali o razbijanju
Are we
kriminalne
serious?
bande
That nigga's name is the smiling
Belivuk
butcher and
Miljković
he was singing,
i
bro.
sa velikim ponosom mogu da kažem
I take back everything I
da je ova
said. I said I
banda
was scared of that
razbijena.
nigga. He.
Dakle, ono što je naša poruka.
Word, bro.
S ovom bandom smo završili.
The Serbian president seemed very pleased that Bellivuk and his gang had been arrested. Yet he himself is accused of having enabled figures like Bellivuk to operate under quiet protection for years. In 2006, Montenegro broke away from Serbia after a
Monte
popular
who?
vote. The
Monte
Serbian government under President Tadic
Monte
followed
who?
reformist center-left policies. But ever since Aleksandar Vučić became president in 2017, corruption is rampant. The growing frustration with the government has fueled repeated protests over the years. At the beginning of Vučić's first presidency, demonstrations against dictatorship erupted. A year later, another wave of protests followed after an opposition politician was brutally attacked by a group of hooded men. In 2023, a school shooting sparked the Serbia Against Violence
School
protests.
shooting? These niggas
And in
got school
2024, the canopy at a freshly renovated train station in Novi Sad
Novi
collapsed,
Sad.
killing 16 people.
shootings? Jesus.
And the reason for this is corruption, because of the corruption, everything was badly done.
The train station was meant to showcase Serbia's progress, but instead became a symbol of everything going wrong in the country. Huge student-led protests aimed directly at Vučić's government erupted across the country. The authorities responded with violent crackdowns. In the year after the tragedy, more than 80 journalists were physically attacked. Vučić doesn't hesitate to deploy police forces
Holy
against
fuck.
anti-government protesters.
And when niggas
But
say you
according
got
to
it bad here,
Stevan, he's also using
Organized crime figures, which he's bringing against the protesters. We have government who basically cooperates with organized crime.
this nigga is not scared.
It's
about saying all this
2017,
stuff?
2 years before they used the
Think he doesn't think
slaughterhouse.
he's gonna get bodied?
A murder shakes Serbia's capital, and Belivuk is caught up in it. The police arrest him and seize his phone.
And they found very interesting WhatsApp messages inside.
These chats end up in the hands of journalists who start digging through them. They revealed that Belivuk has some powerful contacts.
We found that actually
Why did they make this
Belivuk
nigga
in that
look a
time
little
was
differently
in direct
than
contact with
he
one
actually
really
looks like?
important member of Serbian gendarmerie.
That's a specially trained paramilitary unit within the Serbian police.
This is his photo from army, but from army he moved to the police and he became one of the top
Look like a
persons
guy.
in Serbian gendarmerie. And they were like daily, every day communicating. And we see from the messages basically he was approving and advising Belivuk what to do. Belivuk will say, I need to go after these guys. And he say like, no, keep quiet or do this, do this.
This member of the Serbian gendarmerie, according to the messages Creek has seen, effectively acted as Belivuk's superior. And from
Oh,
him,
so he's the little
trail
boy.
led further up the chain.
Oh, of course
This
he did.
gendarme guy, this police guy was informing about
a woman.
everything. A person he calls Diana. Diana Krkalovic was general secretary of Serbian police, which means after the minister, she was number
was
2 in the
state
police.
security?
And according to Stevan, this top secretary of the police was informed about everything the police officer in Belivuk discussed. But it doesn't end there.
When something really important is to decide, a police officer will say that besides Diana, also the boss and big boss are informed. They never mention who boss and big boss are, but following the logic of hierarchy, boss can only be like minister of police, which was Nebojša Stefanović. A big boss could be just President Vučić, who was top of everything.
Holy fuck.
Belivuk himself later testified that
So
his
the
gang was
president
organized for the
of
needs and by the
Serbia
order
knew
of
about this?
Aleksandar Vučić.
Oh, he
Through
was
his
singing.
testimony, Belivuk explained all the favors that he was doing to the government and actually telling why it's important for the Serbian government always to have control over these football hooligan groups.
According to Belivuk, his gang would intimidate anti-government protesters. During football games, they would stop fans from chanting against the president.
Also, when Vučić making his own protests, he will bring hooligans
shit.
to have bigger number in there. So literally government was using them some sort of like street force.
The president denies all the allegations and says he never
course
met
he did.
Belivuk.
Of course he did.
What we believe that happened is that when the French police entered the sky phones and when they found all these pictures and
they
videos
hid
of
it.
the
They said,
violence,
"Oh, cool, yeah."
torturing, dismantling bodies, and when the Serbia was informed, we believe that President Vučić understood that he cannot any longer work with the Belivuk group because he understood this is like become international issue, is big. So for this reason, we believe that eventually he basically arrested Belivuk gang.
Oh, so he flipped on him.
Belivuk and parts of his
He
gang
flipped
are
on
off the
his foot.
streets, at least for now. But the system that backed them is still in place. Police officials that instruct thugs and work closely together with them. And a
This is
president
crazy.
who's accused of using hooligans to silence his people. So far, almost no politicians or police officers have been brought to court in connection with this case.
Of course not.
President he controls the whole police, prosecution, everything, and in these terms, it's not possible that you have top officials to be prosecuted.
Oh, wow.
Here, in the
So
center
let's
of
talk about
Belgrade, is
corruption
the
here, huh?
Serbian president's office.
And in front of his office is one big park. And it was a really nice park before, but what the president did, he created some sort of camp there, and inside our camp, where he brought a lot of these criminals.
Stevan and his team at Creek identified many of them as members of organized crime, people with long police records of violence and drug smuggling. And according to Stevan, the president uses these criminals as guards of a sort in front of his office.
So the protester can never really come very close to him.
That's
We asked the
crazy.
Serbian president for a statement, but didn't receive a response.
So the whole point is the belly group is out, but I mean, the modus is still there. And until we have this sort of government now and our president on power, nothing will change. He will always bring in these guys. He will encourage organized crime structures, helping them, because he also have this value from them because they will protect him on another way.
Lock him up.